John Campea of the awesome John Campea show dropped a video last week talking about how the Michael movie is on pace to break some records when it is released. So I saw the video. I haven't watched it, or I just saw the title when I was scrolling. I was like, shoot, I need to watch this and react to it and bring it to my folks on the channel who are excited about this movie. So let's check this out, and then I'll stop it and talk about it as we go, and then we'll see if we agree with him or not.
You know it's coming out real soon? Michael. A movie I believe is going to be the biggest musical biopic of all time. And
I believe that too. The biggest music biopic of all time. I'm in agreement on that one. Just by what it's done for my channel, like it's it's crazy just to see how many subs I've gotten, how many views I've gotten just by dropping this Michael content daily. So yeah, if you're interested in following this movie and getting a bunch of reactions to stuff, this is a good place to be.
believe, depending on whether the movie's great or not, we'll revisit this question in a couple of weeks, but I believe it's going to be the first musical biopic to be $1 billion film. I think it's going to
$1 billion film. Yes, I'm in agreement on that too. 100% in agreement on that. I just think that it's tracking that way, and just knowing his popularity, man, it's as long as this, like, once that first trailer came out and everybody saw how authentic it looked, I think that it was a no-brainer to figure out that it was going to, break a billion.
be $1 billion film. And if you listen to the numbers, it might be well on its way. Because according to this report and coming soon, Michael is expected to take in $80 to $90 million during its domestic opening weekend, as projected on March 27th by Box.
80 to 90 million in the first weekend. I know we haven't had any film, I don't believe, that has gotten that high of a domestic opening weekend. And that's not even talking about just, that's just here in the States. We're talking worldwide. Like, it's yeah, there's no way. There's no way it's not going to hit a billion. I feel like it's going to hit that 80 to 90, 100 million on that first weekend. And then following that, it's going to have legs because there aren't a ton of movies coming out really quickly over the next few weeks after that movie drops. So I think once people start getting that word of mouth that the movie is good, it's going to have legs and it's going to keep going.
Office Pro. 80 to 90 million dollars. To put that into perspective, if we look at the biggest opening weekends in
Okay, of all these biopic movies, how many of them have you seen? I have seen Straight Outta Compton, really enjoyed that, thought it was a good movie. Bohemian Rhapsody, saw that, thought it was really good. Elvis, saw that, didn't like that quite as much, but still a good movie. Didn't like it quite as much though. Bob Marley, I did not see that one. All Eyes on Me 2017, definitely saw that one as well. So yeah, of these on here, I have seen all of them except the Bob Marley one. I know the Bob Marley one starred the guy from The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, playing Bob Marley, I believe. So yeah, I haven't seen that yet. Is it good? Let me know in the comments. I don't know, maybe I'll check it out. But yeah, I have definitely seen all the other ones on here. I really enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody and Straight Outta Compton. Those were great. I love the behind the scenes stuff that I didn't know about both Queen and NWA that I learned via the movie. So yeah, whenever I'm hoping that we get more bits like that when we go to check out the Michael movie.
musical biopic history. Straight Outta Compton made
I got somebody yelling at me in the other room talking about what about Elton John and Johnny Cash. We're only dealing with the ones that they have on the screen here, and these are the top 5. That one, those two aren't in the top 5.
60.
They were good. They were good.
Bohemian Rhapsody, which came this close to being $1 billion film, opened with 51.1 million. Elvis opened to 31.2. Bob Marley One Love opened to 28.6, and All Eyes on Me, the Tupac Shakur movie, 26.4. This they're saying 80. Now, I should point out
80 million on this, on the low end of the projections, will blow all 5 of these movies out of the water. Like, it's crazy that it's tracking that high.
That while Box Office Pro and other outlets are talking about 80 to 90, Deadline came out and said they're projecting 55 to 65, which is way different.
So we got sort of conflicting estimations. So yeah, let's go in between there and say like 70. And if it does go out at 70, that's still going to be at the top of that list that we just saw. So, and I'm not saying it just because like, oh, he has to claim the record, like, oh, it has to make $1 billion. I just think that the movie is going to be good, and the popularity that has already been shown via the movie is going to translate into a mega opening, that first weekend.
Either way, on the higher end, on the lower end of the box office pro number, and on the higher end of the deadline, it would make it the biggest opening weekend in the history of musical biopics. And I'm still a little bit surprised it's not bigger. Honestly, if you'd
Mm.
asked me a month ago how big do I think the opening weekend of Michael would be, I would have said in the triple digits. I would have thought
Hmm. Yeah, I don't. Looking at these numbers and what they are, knowing the economy the way it is right now, how people are feeling about having any sort of extra money to spend on things. If this was a few years back when things were a little bit more prosperous, especially in the United States, I think that it would have no problem getting the higher end of the projections. But just knowing how things are right now, I think that it is going to those are going to temper the projections a little bit, and the reality of how much money the film is able to bring in. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, and it makes a ton of money, just because I feel as though the success of this movie will continue to get us stories like this. Like, I would love to see something done like this for Prince. Like, I think that would be dope too. So um I think the more money that you end up bringing in for something like this, the more we get to see these types of stories be brought to the big screen.
it would have been in the $100 million range. I would have thought it'd been, but again, Bohemian Rhapsody opens to 50 million, and it almost became a $1 billion film. I haven't seen the film. If it's terrible, I'm gonna have to change my mind. But if it's really good, I still believe this is a $1 billion film. And if you can open with 80 to $90 million by
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way that we can check this out at this point from what we've seen and say the movie is going to be terrible. It might not be the greatest movie of all time, but just from what we've seen, I don't think that there's any way that it's going to be terrible. And there's no way that it won't hit the top 5 numbers that they had on there. I think that the Tupac movie was at like 26 million, I think. There's no way that this doesn't make that. It wouldn't shock me if it makes that before Friday is over with.
far the biggest opening for any musical biopic ever, I think it will be well on its way. Anyway, Rob, you saw these numbers. Surprised, not surprised, and how do you see this thing doing?
I'm not surprised. I think the numbers. I don't think people are aware that it's coming out in 2 weeks.
Mm.
I think that they don't even know, and I think if they did know, there'd be more people. That I think the projections.
Yeah, I think once the word of mouth gets going, once the Good Morning Americas, the Today shows start talking about how much money the movie is bringing in, it's going to really take off. I think once those numbers come out on that like Thursday, for the Thursday previews, and then for the Friday release, by the time you get to Saturday, that word of mouth and buzz is going to get going, and then you're going to have a relatively low fall off that following week, just because of that buzz and that word of mouth.
And he said it's going to be very successful. And I think I think the thing about this movie is, talk about a 4 quadrant movie. This is like a 4 generation movie. I mean, who doesn't?
Now that is true. That's true. That's something I didn't think about either, because you have so many young folks who are excited about this and excited about Michael Jackson. Then you have people who are older, like my mother. She just turned 74. I'm sure she beat me up for saying this, but she just turned 74, and she went to go see Michael when he was in his early Jackson 5 days, performing in Indiana still. So yeah, so that's her generation. Then I'm her son. That's my generation, and then my children, will be there to see him as well. And then I'm sure there's some older, even people older than my mother, who, are still around and would like to go see something like this. So yeah, it's very rare that you have someone and an artist or whoever it might be that is popular enough that it spans so many generations, and because of that, it's just going to equate to dollars, man. I feel like this movie is just gonna print money.
Who isn't going to go see this movie? I think everybody's going to go see this film. I'm really interested in it, and of course, it deals with the first part of Michael Jackson's life, the first half of his life into the '80s. And there's something. Look, all musical biopics are kind of the same.
They really are.
They're kind of the same. The story is the same. But what's really interesting to me, and what I really want to see about this, is that we think about Michael Jackson now, but when I was a kid, there was the Jackson 5 component of Michael Jackson's life where he was working with his brothers. There's like a Carol Burnett clip that's running around online where she's introducing, she goes, "Here's the Jackson brothers," and all that you go through, like, here's Tito Jackson, and Michael Jackson's like the fourth brother. And he sings, and he's clearly the most talented of all of them. But when I was a kid, you had the Jackson 5, and I was too young to be aware of, like, I really want to see that part of the Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of people who want to see and focus on that part, only because that is a part where I think there's the least sort of known. I think once he started going solo, and of course later on in his life, I think the general public knows about that. But I would say that people who are on the younger end don't really know much about his Jackson 5 days. So yeah, I'm not gonna keep watching any more of this because I think we all get the point. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a record breaking opening weekend. If you had to make a prediction, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think it's gonna come just short of $100 million for the open. I'm gonna go with 96 million. In the comments below, let me know what you guys think the opening is going to be. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop those comments with that prediction. And just know that Watch Stuff with Us will be in the mix in 2026. My name is JD, and I will see you when I see you. Peace and love.